Hola, mi nombre es Lorena Contreras. Soy. Hold on. Let me do it again. Let me do it. Round two. Hola, mi nombre es Lorena Contreras. Yo vengo a Reason Fitness y hoy estamos haciendo el podcast para el día de hoy. If I could describe myself in 3 words, I say that I'm very extroverted. Very extroverted. I'm family oriented, so I like to be around my family and everything. And I'm also very hardworking. My family, oh my God. I think now that I'm gone from the house, it's a little less chaotic. But when I'm there, I'm the vibe, you know? Come downstairs at 6 in the morning. I'm playing DJ, Bad Bunny all the way. His new album was popping off every single day. I have two. So with me, three. So I have to bring the vibes. I have to be the leader of the pack, you know? I have to set the example. I'm 27. My siblings are 26 and my youngest sister is 23. Before a workout, oh my God. During a workout, right now, it's not my hype song is actually not a Bad Bunny song. It's actually a Beyonce song. And the song from Beyonce is Diva. If I could only do one workout, that one's tough, but I think I'd have to go with burpees. Because I feel like it works out kind of like your entire body in a way. Well, it was either that, burpees, or, wall balls, which is even worse. My favorite day to spend a rest day, well, now that I live alone, I have to clean, so it's like really unwinding for me. So I clean in the morning typically. I'll go through my day. So let's say it's a Saturday morning. I wake up around 9. I do laundry while I'm doing laundry. I'll be cleaning my room, and then, I'll give myself a break. I'll take a shower, and then I literally won't leave my apartment unless it's to go get groceries, or if I want to, treat myself to something small, like a boba or just some food. Love boba. That's my typical day, and I've been reading more, so that's kind of how I unwind, and then I just put on, my favorite TV show, which I don't have one right now, but Stranger Things is coming back, so it's going to come up again. So that's kind of how I unwind a little bit, yeah. Decompress. Where I am from, so I'm right down the block. I'm from El Monte, so I grew up in El Monte most of my entire life. I did live in Mexico for 2 years, and then for some time in Pico Rivera, and then I went back to El Monte. I've been part of Reason for about 1.5 years now. And honestly, it was one of those moments where I was literally up until 2 in the morning, and I said, you know what, I need to make a change for myself. I was going to Gold's Gym for a year or two. I didn't know what I was doing. I was very shy. I was very shy to go up and ask someone, hey, can you show me how to do this workout? And then I came across Reason, and I actually, talked to Coach Luke, and he was very nice. I really liked the environment from day one, and I stuck with Reason. And I think it's a really great community that I've been here with, yeah. I was motivated that day, and I said, you know what, I'm going to make a difference. Yes, I was in bed scrolling. And I remember perfectly what I was doing. I was literally under my sheets, and I was scrolling, and I was like, local gyms near me. And I hadn't heard of Reason, and I always drove through here because I worked in Arcadia at the time. And then I just came across it. I found your page. I stalked you guys, so I'm not going to lie. I stalked you guys on your Instagram page, and I said, you know what, I need to know who everyone is before I go in. And then, and then I came in, and it was one of those great opportunities where I'm glad that I did that 2 a.m. scroll. My journey with fitness life, it was hard. It was very difficult for me because for quite some time I was very self-conscious of my body, and it wasn't even about my body. I think it was more hand in hand with the food that I would eat, and then mixed with my fitness and the food. I didn't really see any changes, and it was really difficult. I was going to Platinum Fitness right after I finished college. I went to, Gold's Gym. I was doing workouts on the side, I would go run. And I would try to motivate myself, but I think before Reason, it was just a very on and off thing where I wasn't as disciplined. I like to use that word disciplined because it does take a lot for you to, put discipline into the workout and to see results that you want, you know? And so I think beforehand it was a little challenging for me, but I think ever since I came across Reason, it was one of those like great moments for me, my great opportunities where I gave myself the opportunity to really put myself in that discipline and see the change, you know, throughout my time here. One of the specific goals that I had, just like I'm sure everyone has, is to lose weight. But as soon as I started at Reason, I quickly realized that that wasn't really my main goal. One of the goals that I really wanted for myself was to be able to lift heavier, to be more flexible, my mobility wise, which is one of the goals that I do have for this year, because all of that plays in hand with, you know, how you move throughout the workouts, even in your day-to-day life. So that was one of the main goals that I had at the beginning, which thankfully actually, that main goal actually succeeded, because since I started Reason up until now, I've lost 16 pounds, which is so amazing. Yeah. A year and a half, yes. And that has to do with, you know, me being disciplined, the foods that I, you know, eat. So everything really changed in the ways that I eat them. I did try to lose weight in the back. And actually, it was kind of unfortunate because instead of losing weight, I was gaining weight. And a lot of it had to do with, like, stress eating, obviously. There's a lot of, like, mental health portions that come along on the aspect, so. In the last 18 months, I did notice progress when there's a specific video and I like to vlog a lot and I like to record myself because I like to see my journey. And there was a moment where I was with Coach Lauren and I forget what movement we were doing, and I realized that I was a lot stronger than I thought of. And I think when I was in her class, Coach Lauren really motivated me to like push myself, and from there I did really see the progress moving forward and to really challenge myself with more weight, because I was more, I think, fearful of putting myself in heavier weights in the back of my mind, thinking that I was going to fail. But I think it's that perseverance of saying that no, you can do it. And I think in the back of my head, I always think about that moment with Lauren where I'm able to really see that progress. Yeah. Yes. Coach Lauren, te veo. Un fuerte aplauso para ti. When I first started at Reason, I was a little intimidated. I'm not going to lie. I remember walking in through the doors and I saw everyone in class. I believe I came around like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So it was kind of peak time. Everyone was here. And I just saw like everyone's so fit, everyone's so strong. And coming from a gym where, you know, you're independent, you're on your own, you don't have personal training or you don't have a coach assigned, you know, there is a lot of thought process in the sense of like, wow, is this really going to be my environment? Am I really going to be able to succeed just like the rest of everyone that's here? And I think that's a really normal process to think as you're walking into a new gym. But I think after the first day, it was such a great experience because Luke assigned me with Coach Kara, and when I got assigned to Coach Kara was very motivating. And I remember specifically there was one of those days where I was training with her, and she told me, you know, don't worry about everyone else. Like, no one is looking at you. Just, you know, if you fail or if you can't lift the weight, just drop it. And that made me feel very, like, seen and very appreciated and very, you know, not discouraged in the sense of, like, well, if I'm not able to do it, that's okay. My favorite thing about Coach Kara is that she's so open. Like, she's such an open book, and she's very welcoming, very approachable. But she also motivates you in the sense of, you know, when I saw her just, you know, this past weekend on Saturday when she was lifting all those weights, and I was like, wow, like, she is so strong, she is so fit, and she just motivates you to want to do better and, like, move up in the weight that you're at. There is a member, and I want to shout out Elisa, because because she is, you know, older than me, and she's able to lift heavier than me, and she's also motivates me to, you know, challenge myself, because there's been times where I don't want to add any more weight because I just feel scared, kind of going back to that. But she always tells me, you know, just add the weight. If you can't, you know, lift it, you can't, you know, pick it up, just drop it. And she, you know, takes her time to really show me the movement, how to do it properly. She's also been here at Reason, I believe, a little bit over like 5 years, if not more, right? Or 10 years or more, yeah. So she's one of the reasons, yeah, that has been one of the reasons my progress has been much better. And, thanks to her, I've been this close to getting toast to bar. This close. If there's a piece of advice I can give to my past self, it would be to have a lot of patience. I think having patience is one of the hardest things, especially in the fitness journey, because you expect to see changes within like the first week, within the first month, and even within the first couple of months. But again, kind of going back to the beginning, a lot of it is a lot of discipline. And so that also comes from, reminding yourself of the goals that it is that you want. And I would tell myself that, just having that patience, just being in your journey, and whether there's setbacks along the way, because it's not going to be linear, right? There's always going to be some hiccups along your fitness journey. You're going to want to just have that patience and just kind of take a step back and say, it's okay. You're going to get there eventually. It may not be right now. It may not be the following week, but eventually you'll get there. Wow, that's a great question. How has it impacted my confidence, myself? I think, well, for one, it really brought out the extroverted side of me. If I have to be honest with you, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the people that know me, before Reason, they say I'm pretty quiet. I'm pretty timid. I don't talk. And now I walk into the gym, I'm like, hey, how's everyone? How are you? So in that way, it kind of really sparked my inner self, and just having that confidence to be more open. What's really great about Reason, too, is that everyone is so welcoming. And so when I see a new person, I want to make sure that they also feel welcomed, for them to be able to come in. So just being more approachable too. So I think in that aspect, it's really helped me gain confidence, not just here, the weight that I lost and just the confidence that I was able to gain, but also how it's impacted my daily life outside of Reason, in terms of work, in terms of family. My stress levels are lower than they were before. I'm able to focus more. I have more discipline, whether it's here at the gym, that I'm able to apply now at work. I think, one of my coworkers, he had mentioned that one of the changes they noticed was just the way that I speak and the way that I approach people now. Like, very, welcoming. Before, like I said, I was very shy. Like, you would tell me something, I'd be like, very quiet. But I think now I'm very much more open. Another thing that they noticed too was just my weight loss journey. Even though I do work with them, they had noticed it in my jawline. I was like, oh my God, I have a jawline? Really? I didn't know. And now I'm like, oh my God, my jawline. Not that I really care much about that, but it was one of those things where I didn't notice, but other people were starting to notice, And it also just kind of makes you feel like, wow, like I'm putting in the work and it's showing, because now other people are noticing. It definitely is. I am more accepting of who I am now as a person. I think one of the biggest things was like the validation portion of it, which is unfortunate, right? A lot of people seek that outside external validation from other people. And now it's like, I don't need to seek that external validation because I have it within myself. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that Reason has given me, honestly. Yeah.
So what's one goal you're looking for?
One of the goals this year at Reason is to, one, I'm working on my mobility to be able to lift heavier. So right now, one of the issues that I do have is like with my knees. So I'm trying to work on that just so I'm not able, I don't damage it or anything like that. So I have been stretching a little bit more. I would like to, I think one of the things I was talking to one of my friends is competitions. I never thought about that, compete. And I'm like, I'm so tiny. But then I see Anna and I see I see Anna. She is such a motivator. I see Anna, she's just lifting and we're the same height, and, I see her and I want to be like her. Yeah, we're the same height. 5. People will say I'm lying, but I'm 5. I think my why and what keeps me coming back, I think now that I've established a routine, it just makes me feel like if I don't come, it's not even about why am I not showing up for, it's I'm not showing up for myself, but it's also like a lifestyle that I would want to eventually adapt later on as I go on through my life. Because I've established it for a year and a half now, I do want to keep it going. It is very easy to just kind of stop, and there are some days where I'm sure everyone feels it, where you don't want to go because you're so tired, you're just motivated, there's personal stuff going on in your life. But it's like, how do you adapt all those external stressors into your lifestyle, into your health lifestyle? And so that's one of the reasons why I keep coming back and why I want to maintain it as I go on, because I think having a healthy lifestyle, like you said, it's all mind and body, where you have to have that fine balance between the stressors that you're enduring and how that impacts your physical health as well. If someone were to walk in here feeling intimidated and they were the first person, they were coming in for the first time, something that I say is, don't worry about, other people's perceptions. Focus on yourself and what it is that you want as your goals. Everyone that has walked into Reason, whether it's Reason or whether it's at any gym, right? It's not like they walked in there looking like that. Everyone walks in with a purpose, and everyone walks in with different reasons and different goals, different mindsets of what it is that they want to do. If there's things that, you want to work on and you feel scared to ask, if you're even scared to approach a coach, approach one of the other team members. You just never know. And then that's how, you'll be able to kind of gain more kind of confidence in the sense of also community, right? You're establishing new relationships with other people and to eventually get to the goals that it is that you want to set. Being part of Reason, I think ever since I started with Reason, at the very beginning, I'm not going to lie, when I was, I think, 2-3 months in, I did want to quit, I'm going to be honest, because I just didn't feel like I was a fit here. And what I mean by that is that I wasn't really talking to anyone, and again, that has a lot to do more with me, of my shyness and everything. But if I can remember, clearly, the first person that did approach me was Sarah. Sarah Juan, shout out to you. Te quiero mucho. No puedo tampoco, pero te quiero mucho y te veo. She did approach me, and it was very nice of her. And, from Sarah, I was able to create more friends, and I started coming to 6:30 a.m., putting myself out there, where she was coming into 6:30 a.m. It was more of the community, or it is part of the community in that sense. And I think coming here now, it makes me feel comfortable. I think when I would finish a workout, I would want to just dip and leave, and now I stay and I'm like, okay, now get out of here kind of thing. So it's just more of the community, and just being here, it's just very chill. My favorite post-workout meal, I recently started cooking. It's not that great, but I've been cooking. It's pasta with some beef. That I make the own sauce out of bell peppers, tomatoes, and garlic, and then I put with a side of broccoli, and then I put some asparagus too.
You make the pasta yourself?
Not the pasta, but the pasta sauce. Yes. Oh my God, the cleans. That's my least favorite move. I cannot do it for the life of me. I've been here for a year and a half, and it just does not succeed. It's getting there. Thank you, though. Well, all I can say is that anyone interested in joining Reason Fitness should definitely join Reason Fitness. I think a part of it, too, is just the community. I think there's one of those things. If you're doing the nightly scrolls like I am at 2 a.m., it's okay, because it could make a big change in your life, and make a huge difference in your life. Hi, my name is Lorena, and I'm a Reason athlete.